Inside the world of prison shot callers, power, fear, and control. Blood. Screams. A locked steel door. The sound of boots echoing down the narrow hallways. A loud bang, followed by silence. And then a voice, barely a whisper, orders, "Handle it." Just like that, someone's life is in danger. But who's giving the orders? Who has the power to make these decisions in a place where the law is supposed to reign? Inside the concrete walls, a shadowy world exists, one ruled not by guards or the warden, but by a select few prison shot callers. Their words shape life or death. Their influence stretches far beyond the cell blocks, reaching into every corner of the prison. But how does someone gain this power? And what happens when it's taken away? The rise of a shot caller. The journey begins like any other, an inmate, unknown, like the thousands of others that pass through the gates of prison. But there's something different about him. He's not interested in simply surviving. He wants control. It starts small. A few whispered conversations. A shared pack of cigarettes. But soon, the inmate earns a reputation. He knows when to fight, when to make alliances, and when to stand down. Over time, others start to notice him. And slowly, the whispers start to rise into something more powerful, an invitation to lead. Shot callers aren't just criminals. They're strategists, tacticians. They've earned the respect of their peers, either through fear or loyalty. They manipulate the system, bending rules that were once untouchable. They call the shots from behind bars, commanding the respect of the most dangerous men inside. But gaining this power comes at a cost. It's a dangerous game, and one wrong move could mean a violent end. As the inmate rises through the ranks, the lines between right and wrong blur, and a ruthless world of control, fear, and power begins to take shape. The system of fear. Inside a prison, there is an unspoken truth. Power is the only currency that matters. Shot callers, like kings of their own twisted empires, operate with a system rooted in fear. They control everything. Who gets what food, who gets moved to a better cell, and who gets the next beating. The most terrifying part? The shot caller doesn't need to be anywhere near the action to make things happen. Through their network of loyal followers, their commands are carried out with brutal efficiency. One word from the shot caller, and a violent attack can unfold in seconds. A fist punches through a cell door. A knife glints in the dim light of the cafeteria. And it all happens in the name of maintaining control. The shot caller's power is absolute. Their word is the law, and anyone who disrespects them faces dire consequences. It's a world where betrayal is inevitable, trust is fragile, and survival isn't guaranteed. The shot caller watches every move from the shadows, their control tightening like a noose. The others are left to play the game, either obey or die trying. The price of power. Power, as intoxicating as it is, always comes at a price. Those who hold it live in constant fear, not of the guards, but of their fellow inmates. Trust is a luxury no one can afford in the world of prison shot callers. One mistake, one misstep, and you're no longer the one in control. You become the hunted. And when you're at the top, the fall from grace is swift and brutal. An inmate, once a respected shot caller, finds himself in a nightmare. His trusted lieutenants have turned on him, and now he must fight to survive. The system of power he built now becomes the force that hunts him. His allies are few, and every move he makes could lead to his destruction. The power struggle. The shot caller's role isn't always as secure as it seems. In the harsh environment of prison, the balance of power is fragile. There are constant challenges, new inmates rising to challenge the authority, old alliances crumbling, and rival gangs looking for any chance to seize control. The world inside these walls is ever-changing. What once made a man a powerful leader can quickly become his undoing. As the shot caller's influence wanes, he must fight to maintain his position or risk being replaced by someone younger, faster, and more ruthless. It's a game of survival, of who can outwit, outlast, and outfight everyone else. The true strength of a shot caller isn't just in his ability to command, but in his ability to adapt. One wrong decision, and he could lose everything. But even in the face of danger, the shot caller never shows weakness. He holds his ground. Because showing fear is the first step toward losing control. The fall. The higher you rise, the further you fall. For every shot caller, there's a moment when their empire starts to crumble. Betrayal, disloyalty, and betrayal can cause even the strongest to lose their power. A shot caller's downfall is often a quiet one. The whispers start behind closed doors. Friends turn into enemies. And the inevitable moment arrives, the point of no return. In one fleeting moment, the shot caller is left exposed, vulnerable, with no one to turn to. But the true test of a shot caller's power isn't when things are going right. It's when things go wrong. The world inside prison doesn't wait for those in power to recover. When a shot caller falls, he becomes the target. But there's one rule in the system that remains unchanged. Survival is everything. And even in the darkest of moments, the shot caller fights to survive. The legacy of a shot caller. Even after their fall, the legacy of a shot caller lingers. Their influence doesn't fade easily. Even behind bars, the echoes of their power can be felt. A shot caller's reign may end, but their story doesn't disappear. Others will rise to fill the power vacuum, but they must always confront the ghosts of those who came before them. The new generation of shot callers must learn the rules of the game and decide whether they will continue the legacy of power, fear, and control, or break free from it. In the end, the world of prison shot callers is a world where power is both a gift and a curse. It shapes the lives of those who live in it, forcing them to navigate a dangerous, unforgiving system. And for every shot caller, the question remains, will they fall, or will they continue to rule from the shadows? The Silent Wars. Prison isn't just about bars and walls. It's about dominance, who controls the movement, the trade, and the flow of information. The silent wars between shot callers are fought in the shadows, away from the prying eyes of guards and cameras. These battles are as fierce and as dangerous as any physical confrontation, but they often go unnoticed by those outside. The battle for control is a mental game. Information is power, and the shot callers must have eyes and ears everywhere. They rely on their network of trusted lieutenants, their informants, and their allies within other factions. These are the people who keep them informed, who whisper in the dead of night, telling them what's really happening inside the walls. One shot caller, having been dethroned from power, begins to gather a secret army, reaching out to old allies who owe him favors. He offers them protection, power, and control in return for their loyalty. The war to reclaim his throne has begun, but this time, it's not just about physical dominance. It's about using manipulation, threats, and promises to turn the tide in his favor. The underground economy. In prison, money doesn't mean what it does on the outside. Instead, it's about control of the underground economy, the exchange of goods, favors, and loyalty. A shot caller's influence isn't just about what he can command with his fists, but what he can offer or deny. Drugs, weapons, protection, and contraband, these are the currencies of the prison world. Shot callers control the flow of these items, and through this control, they hold power over everyone in the prison. But the game is always risky. One misstep, and they could lose everything. Rival shot callers are always looking to make a move, and once control of the underground economy shifts, it can spark a full-scale war. One shot caller, having maintained a steady grip over the prison's underground economy for years, suddenly finds his supply lines cut off. The source of his contraband is under threat, and his rivals are starting to encircle him. His only choice is to make a desperate deal, something he never thought he'd do. The illusion of freedom. Even from behind bars, a shot caller can create an illusion of freedom. They offer the inmates inside a false sense of power, a belief that they can control their destiny. But deep down, every shot caller knows the truth. They are still prisoners, locked away in a cage of their own making. This contradiction is what makes the shot caller's life so complicated. They've risen to the top by playing the system, manipulating the rules, and bending them to their will. But the more they gain, the more they realize they are never truly free. The prison system, the warden, the guards, the laws, are always there, watching, waiting. Every day spent in power is a day closer to the inevitable fall. The shot caller begins to realize that even his network of power is nothing more than a fragile house of cards, built on trust that could easily be shattered. His moment of control is fleeting, and he's constantly looking over his shoulder, watching for the moment when everything might come crashing down. The shadowed betrayal. For a shot caller, betrayal is a constant threat. Every time they make a deal, every time they trust someone with their empire, there's always the chance of being stabbed in the back. The higher you rise, the more enemies you make. And some of those enemies are just waiting for the perfect moment to strike. One shot caller finds this out the hard way. After years of carefully constructing alliances and friendships within the prison, one of his most trusted lieutenants turns on him. The betrayal is swift, brutal, and unexpected. It's not just the loss of power that hurts, it's the loss of trust. The shot caller had built everything on the idea that loyalty was the key to survival, but now he learns that loyalty is a fragile thing. As the betrayal unfolds, the consequences are deadly. This isn't just a loss of control, it's a fight for survival. The aftermath. After the betrayal, the shot caller's world begins to unravel. His once feared name is now whispered with disdain, and his former allies begin to close ranks around him. He's lost his hold on the prison, and now he's fighting to keep himself alive. The shot caller's empire is no more. The rules he once used to control the inmates have been turned against him. Now he's forced to rely on his wits and his ability to adapt. His days of sitting on top of the food chain are over, but he's not ready to give up. Even though he's lost his position, his hunger for control never truly fades. The prison system has broken him, but it hasn't destroyed him yet. The final reckoning. For some shot callers, the end comes with an arresting realization. They were never really in control, not of the system, not of their fate. The illusion of power was just that, an illusion. The guards, the warden, the prison, these forces are far too strong to be taken down by one man, no matter how powerful he thinks he is. In the final moments, a shot caller is faced with a choice. Does he keep fighting, trying to reclaim his throne, or does he accept the truth that his time has come to an end? It's a bitter pill to swallow, but the shot caller has no choice but to face it. As the prison doors close behind him, the reality of his situation becomes clear. Power is fleeting. Fear is temporary. And control? It's just another illusion. The prison system, in the end, always wins. The new order. Once a feared shot caller, now a shadow of his former self, the fall from grace is something most cannot recover from. But for others, it marks the beginning of a new chapter, a chance to rise again. A new shot caller emerges from the chaos, one who has learned from the mistakes of those who came before him. In the prison yard, the whispers start once more. New alliances form in the shadows. A fresh wave of loyalty begins to spread, built on the ruins of the old order. This time, however, there's something different. The new shot caller has learned the power of silence, the power of patience. He doesn't rush into violence. He doesn't overstep. Instead, he waits, watching, learning. In time, he begins to pull the strings, gaining control slowly but surely. He doesn't just rule with fear, he uses subtlety. He offers protection, makes deals, and ensures that the inmates believe that loyalty to him is the key to surviving in the brutal world of prison. And just like that, he establishes his own empire. The cycle repeats. The prison system remains a breeding ground for power struggles, but the rules have changed. The new shot caller knows that absolute control is an illusion, but he knows how to use the system to his advantage. And he will do whatever it takes to stay on top, no matter the cost. The price of loyalty. Loyalty is the foundation of every shot caller's empire. Without it, they crumble. But loyalty in prison is a fragile thing. It can shift with the wind, and it can be bought and sold for the right price. For the new shot caller, this loyalty is the most important asset he has. He makes sure to reward his followers generously. In exchange, they offer him unwavering support, watching his back in the harsh world of the prison system. But loyalty is always conditional. The moment an inmate feels betrayed or undervalued, they'll seek a new leader, a new shot caller to follow. One day, after months of carefully crafted alliances and well-placed favors, the new shot caller faces the ultimate test. His most trusted lieutenants are beginning to show cracks in their loyalty. They want more power, more control, more territory. The delicate balance begins to shift. This chapter is a battle for trust. The shot caller knows that if he doesn't act swiftly, he risks losing everything. But how do you keep loyalty in a place where betrayal is as common as breathing? The breaking point. Even the strongest shot caller reaches their breaking point. Over time, the pressure mounts. The game becomes more dangerous. The stakes grow higher. And in the world of prison shot callers, the stakes are always life or death. This is where the real test begins. The new shot caller, now deeply entrenched in the game, finds himself facing an unexpected challenge. A rival from his past, one who had once been a trusted ally, resurfaces. This rival has been plotting, waiting for the right moment to strike. And now, the moment has come. The prison, once a place where the shot caller could dictate his own terms, becomes a dangerous battleground. Allies turn into enemies. Friends turn into foes. And the very system that once served to protect him is now used against him. In a series of tense, high-stakes confrontations, the new shot caller is forced to make choices he never thought he would face. Does he take his enemy head-on? Or does he use his mind, outwit and outplay, maneuvering his rival into a corner? The lines between right and wrong blur even further as he steps into a dark, unpredictable world. The fall and rise of the system. No one stays on top forever. The system, in all its brutal complexity, ensures that power shifts constantly. The shot caller who once ruled with fear may soon find himself a victim of the very tactics he once used. The rise and fall of leaders in prison is a never-ending cycle, a cycle of power, fear, and control. For the shot caller who has learned all the tricks, the game eventually becomes a question of survival, not domination. And though he may lose everything, one thing remains clear. The world inside prison is a reflection of the world outside, where power is a shifting, ephemeral thing. As new shot callers emerge, the old ones fade into the background, becoming a footnote in the larger, ongoing saga of prison life. But even in their decline, the former shot callers leave behind a legacy. Their stories, their methods, their triumphs and defeats, these lessons are passed down to the next generation of power brokers inside. And in this cyclical world, one question remains. How long can the shot caller hold onto their throne before it slips away again? The unseen impact. The power of shot callers doesn't just affect the inmates, it affects the entire prison system. The guards, the warden, even the outside world. The influence of a shot caller can extend beyond the walls, reaching into the lives of those who are only tangentially involved in the system. The presence of a powerful shot caller can cause tension among prison staff, forcing them to make difficult choices about how to handle the power dynamics within their institution. Some guards might turn a blind eye, understanding that the shot caller helps keep the peace. Others, however, may decide to take matters into their own hands, trying to break up the system of control. But the real effect is felt by those who aren't in the game at all, those who are simply trying to survive. For them, the shot caller's decisions mean life or death, a constant game of survival where the stakes are impossibly high. In the end, the story of prison shot callers is a story of the fragility of power. It is a story about the price of control and the devastating impact it has on everyone involved. From the inmate to the guard, from the shot caller to the prisoner, everyone in the system plays their part in this dangerous, complex web of fear, loyalty, and power. The end of the line. In the end, the shot caller's reign is always temporary. Whether it ends in violence, betrayal, or exhaustion, the moment always comes when the system decides it's time for someone new to take over. The old shot caller fades into obscurity, his legacy nothing more than a lesson for the next generation. And so the cycle continues. A new leader rises, a new shot caller takes control, and the power struggles repeat. The system, unyielding and ever-changing, keeps turning, offering a chance for those with ambition and cunning to rise and fall again and again. For those inside the walls, the story of the shot caller is one of survival. A fight for control, a struggle for power, and a constant, never-ending battle to be the one who decides fate inside the prison. The final battle. As the system of power continues to shift, one truth becomes undeniable. The end of one shot caller is only the beginning of another's rise. The moment comes for every leader, every inmate who dares to command the prison, when their dominance is threatened. But it's not always the rivals that pose the greatest danger. Sometimes, it's the very people who helped build them up, the ones who turn on them in search of greater power. A new wave of tension fills the prison as a power struggle reaches its peak. The shot caller, who once ruled with cunning and strength, now faces not only external enemies but the weight of betrayal within his ranks. His loyal followers are few, and his enemies are multiplying by the day. The walls close in. He's running out of time. One final, desperate move is made, a last attempt to regain control, to remind the prison that he is the one who holds the reins. But as the situation spirals out of control, the true nature of the shot caller's world is revealed. It is a world where only the strongest survive, where loyalty is bought and sold, and where the next shot caller is already preparing to take the throne. The new king. In the chaos that follows the final battle, the dust begins to settle. And just like that, the old shot caller, who had once commanded such fear, fades into the background. His name is forgotten, a victim of the ever-changing tides of power. A new king takes his place, a new figure who now rules the prison with the same unrelenting control that his predecessors had. The new shot caller learns quickly. He knows the importance of alliances, of having eyes everywhere, and of maintaining an image of power. His rise is as calculated as any before him. Every decision is made with precision, and every move is executed with ruthless efficiency. He understands the game, and he's playing it better than anyone else. But even as he takes his place, a new set of challenges arises. The prisoners are restless, the guards are suspicious, and the warden is watching. The new king must navigate the treacherous waters of prison politics, aware that any slip-up could cost him everything. The cycle never ends. The story of the shot caller is not a singular narrative, but a recurring cycle. For as long as there are prisons, there will always be men who rise to power, who use fear, manipulation, and loyalty to carve out their dominion. And for as long as there are shot callers, there will be a fall, whether by betrayal, by violence, or by time itself. As the new shot caller establishes his reign, the cycle begins once more. There are always new inmates, new faces eager for control, eager to rise to the top. And there will always be a place for those who can play the game. But what many fail to realize is that the game is never truly over. Every rise is followed by a fall, and every shot caller knows that his time will eventually come. The price of control. As the new shot caller grows more powerful, his understanding of the game deepens. He knows that control is not just about power, it's about sacrifice. He sacrifices friendships, family, and even his own morals to maintain his position. But in the end, what is left when everything is given up for control? The price of power becomes more apparent with each passing day. As the shot caller plays the game, he begins to feel the weight of the decisions he's made. The loyalty he's built, the lives he's altered, the suffering he's caused, it all begins to take its toll. In the quiet moments, away from the prying eyes of the prison, the shot caller reflects on what he's lost and what he's gained. He wonders if it was worth it. And in that silence, a question remains. What will it take for him to let go? Will he ever be able to walk away from the power he's built? Or will he forever be trapped in the cycle of control? The price of fear. For the shot caller, the price of fear is the most expensive of all. Fear is what keeps the system in motion. It is what makes inmates obey, what makes them follow. But fear also has its limits. It can break, it can falter, and it can leave those who rely on it vulnerable. The shot caller's control may be absolute for now, but there's always a breaking point. As the tension rises within the prison, the shot caller faces the consequences of relying on fear. His rivals, the inmates under his rule, and even the guards begin to question whether fear alone is enough to keep everything in line. The cost of his dominance starts to show, and the cracks begin to appear. And in the most unexpected of moments, the shot caller is faced with a choice: continue to rule through fear, or find a new way to maintain his power. A new type of leader might emerge, One who doesn't rely on brute force or intimidation but on negotiation, compromise, and, for the first time, trust. The unanswered question. In the world of shot callers, there's one question that remains unanswered for all of them. Is it worth it? For every shot caller, the dream is to rise to the top, to be the one in control. But once they get there, the view from the top is different than they imagined. The weight of the crown is heavier than it appears, and the isolation is more profound. The power they crave can consume them, and even those who seem to have it all can feel empty inside. The story of the shot caller is one of power, but also one of sacrifice. It's a reminder that the hunger for control can lead to a life of constant battle, one where victory is fleeting and peace is hard to find. The cycle will continue. Prisoners will rise, shot callers will fall, and the game will be played again and again. But for now, the cycle is complete. The new shot caller rules. But for how long? The world of prison shot callers is one of power, fear, and control. It's a world where every move is calculated, and every decision carries the weight of survival. These men, who hold sway over their surroundings, are often trapped in a cycle they cannot escape. Power is fleeting and loyalty is fragile. In the end, the only thing a shot caller can be sure of is that the game will never truly end. And as the doors of the prison slam shut behind the latest shot caller, one thing remains clear: the struggle for power is timeless. It's a struggle that will continue long after the lights go out and the echoes of footsteps fade away. The story of the shot caller is a story of power, the kind that can make men kings, but also break them. It's a tale of loyalty, betrayal, and the high price of control, a reminder that the walls of prison are not just physical, but mental and emotional too. The shot caller's reign, no matter how strong, is always temporary. Every rise is followed by a fall. Every king faces his reckoning. And every man who plays the game of power is ultimately forced to ask, what's left when the crown falls? In the end, the world inside these walls isn't just about survival. It's about how long you can hold on to something you can never truly own. Because in the prison system, control is an illusion, and the moment you believe you've mastered it, you've already lost it. So, as the shadows creep back into the corners of the prison, the echoes of these stories live on, passed down to the next generation of shot callers, each one believing they can do what the ones before them couldn't: hold power forever. But history has its own way of repeating itself. And the story of power in the world of shot callers will continue long after the lights go out, as the cycle begins again.